Denver Sports presents the Mile High Hockey Podcast with Mike Evans, presented by Fort Comfort Gutters. Now here's your host with the latest on the Burgundy and Blue, Mike Evans.
Hey everybody, welcome in as we come to you on this Mile High Hockey Podcast in the morning of the night in which the two teams are going to play game number 4, Avs and Stars. And we were just talking about this before we got rolling here, the idea of how things can change in a playoff series, and what you may have thought was the case after one or two games changes, and it can change real quick. Like when we last spoke on Friday, right? The Nuggets were in a lot of trouble. Nuggets were down 2-0. People were writing them off, and all it took was 2 performances over the weekend to change everything, to where now you look at the Nuggets as like, okay, they're back. This is the Nuggets team we're expecting. And this is the Nuggets team that we can feel good about moving forward. The Avalanche, when we spoke on Friday, we were feeling pretty good. Even after losing game 2, the fact that they had come back the way that they did on the road, already with a game 1 win under their belt, for them to put such a major scare into Dallas and coming back from 4-0 down and be in a position to actually pull off the comeback, had you feeling good about the Avalanche even after a loss. All it takes is one loss in game 3 at home to have some folks questioning whether or not this Avalanche team has what it takes. And it's what I find fascinating, but also what frustrates me at times following these 7-game series is that highest of high followed by the lowest of low, how people react as these games get played out during the course of a series. But what makes it fascinating is that these 7-game series, especially if they're competitive, they take on, it's like a living organism, right? It takes on a living, breathing form of its own. And there's that ebb and flow that happens throughout the course of a series, whether it's the teams making certain adjustments to counter what happened in the last game and it changes the outcome of the next game. It can just be the human emotion that plays such a role. The team that is hungry in this game may lose some of that focus in the next game. And it vice versa, as teams find themselves trailing or ahead, how do they handle it? So it's fascinating to watch. It's a reminder that during these 7-game series, the momentum can really change and shift, and how you may feel getting ready for one game may be different for the next. So here we are with the Avs getting ready to play game 4. What have we learned over the first 3 games? Well, what we've learned is this. These two teams play well on the road. And Dallas was the best road team in the NHL during the regular season, and they backed it up in the Vegas series, winning 2 games, games 3 and 4 in Vegas to get back into the series after Dallas had lost the first 2 games at home. So what we've seen here is that the Avalanche seem to have an easier time playing their game, skating, up-tempo on the road, whereas Dallas seem to really feel comfortable playing their road game here in Denver. And there's a reason why Dallas has been so good on the road. There's a reason why so many teams in the NHL playoffs over the last several years have been on the road, to the point where home ice really isn't that much of an advantage at all when you look at the way that these hockey playoffs play out. So why? Why do so many road teams have success in the hockey playoffs? I think there are a couple of factors. One, the arenas are all the same. They all look the same. They're all pretty much cookie-cutter arenas. You could walk into one arena in Denver. You could walk into another arena in Nashville. Are you really going to be able to feel the difference? Probably not. So I think for a lot of these teams, going from one home arena to a road arena, it doesn't really change that much, the vibe, right? Secondly, I think there's just something to the idea that when you're on the road in hockey, you can play a simpler game. I'm not going to go so far as to call it like a rope-a-dope type game, but in some ways it is. Where in hockey, as opposed to other sports, the team that's carrying the play, territorially carrying the play, it doesn't always show up on the scoreboard. It doesn't always mean you win. Certainly if I'm controlling a football game or a basketball game for most of the 60 minutes or the 48 minutes, it's probably going to translate on the scoreboard. Not always with hockey. And I think you look at a team like Dallas, they're a great example of that. They have no problem playing a simple, boring game on the road. We're going to come into your building. We're not going to give up a lot of room in the middle of the ice. We're going to clog things up. We're going to always have 4 guys back, and we're going to do a great job of keeping everything that you're trying to do out on the perimeter, okay? And we dare you to try to come on inside, and we don't think that you're willing to pay the price, whether it be getting through the middle of the ice or the work that needs to be done in the attacking zone. We don't think you're up for it, and we think that we're going to be able to shut you down. And in the process of playing this almost like hockey rope-a-dope, yeah, we'll stick back, we'll stay back, and then we'll wait for you to get frustrated and to try to make a play. You make a mistake, and we'll go back the other way and counter with a high-scoring chance of our own or goal of our own. So you see the Dallas style. When you see a team like Dallas, it's as good as they've been on the road in the regular season and postseason. It does come down to a style that they play, that they're very comfortable with, they're very effective with, and I think maybe we saw that on display in Game 3 with the Avs, that they struggled, maybe got a little frustrated with it not coming as easy offensively. And if Dallas is going to be able to play that game, and let's face it, if Dallas is able to grab the early lead or it's a tie hockey game, the Stars are going to be completely comfortable playing that style. So being able to jump out on them is important. If you have early power play chances, you got to take advantage of them. That was a big story in Game 3. The Avs had those 3 early power play chances, didn't convert, missed opportunity. They're 0 for 6 on the power play in the last 2 games. Start converting some of these power play chances, get on top of Dallas, force Dallas out of their game that they like to play when they're on the road. Now you got a different kind of hockey game. But if now in a perfect world, the Avs come out, they're flying around, they're skating, they're taking the play to Dallas, they score that early goal, they jump on Dallas and put Dallas into having to come back, then I think it really helps the Avalanche. The question is for this team, and it's not it's not a new story, it's something we've talked about with this team before, is if they're playing a team that is daring them to be physical, daring them to play a grinded out game, are the Avs up to that? And so if you're forced to play Dallas' style, what do the Avs have to do in this game for? Well, it means you can't be as fancy. You can't try to necessarily just skate through people. It's just too much of a logjam. What you have to do is you have to increase the work ethic. And I know that sometimes we talk about hockey, and because of the rise of analytics, it can be looked upon in a numbers type way. I still believe, and maybe this is the old school in me, and maybe I'm the old man wearing the dark socks yelling at clouds, but fact remains is that I don't think the formula for winning playoff hockey has changed that dramatically. I still think that there is a high premium that's placed on, are you willing to put in the work? Are you willing to sacrifice your body? Are you willing to take hits? Are you prepared to go into those tough areas, along the boards, behind the net, in the corners, and win battles? Are you going to be able, against a team like Dallas that is more than content to play that kind of shell game defensively, are you willing to pay the extra price to get into that inside ice, right? The inside ice that you hear hockey commentators and coaches and players talk about. Inside ice, trying to be able to get to that area in front of the goal, in the slot, those high-scoring, high-premium scoring areas. Are you willing to pay the price to get there? We saw in Game 3, Dallas was content to just kind of keep everything out on the edges, and especially as the game went along and they were playing with the lead, they were really able to squeeze the life out of the game. If the Avalanche find themselves in that situation, then they'll be tested with being able to get the puck in deep. Get the puck in deep. Go to work. Win the battles. Get the puck out in front. Get it back to the point. Get 2 bodies in front of Jake Ottinger. Let those 2 guys, let it be Val Nichushkin and Arturi Lehkonen. They're going to take a beating. That's okay. That's the price you pay to be able to score those hard goals. Get a tip on the shot that comes from the point. Be there to scoop up a rebound as it falls in front of the goalie. Those are the type of goals that you're going to have to score against Dallas if Dallas is succeeding in playing that road style that they play so well. Hopefully the Avs come out. They got jump. They can take the play to Dallas, and they can get some good scoring opportunities or power play chances early on, convert, get that early lead, put Dallas into a position where they have to play catch-up and maybe open up their game, open up their structure in a way that they didn't have to do in Game 3. But that's the perfect scenario. Avs play their game, Avs skate, Avs get opportunity, Avs dominate shots on goal, Avalanche grab the lead and play with the lead the rest of the way. The question will be, not only in this game, but maybe other games moving forward, if things get tight and you're playing a team like Dallas that's really good at shutting it down, are you able to adapt? And are you able to change your game, become a little bit grittier, become hardworking, and go into those areas that you have to try to win battles to set up those dirty goals, those greasy goals? We shall see. But it'll be a question tonight, Game 4. Your best players. You need more from Nathan MacKinnon. Need more from Mikko Rantenen, of course. But I think one thing that, as we're seeing this series play out, where are the supporting guys? Okay, those supporting players, all that depth that was on display in the Winnipeg series is kind of dried up a little bit in this series. You need to see more from Casey Mittelstadt, more from the Zach Parises, more from the Ross Coltons, those kind of things. Give me the occasional goal from a Yakov Trenin. See if they can get back to being the kind of team they were in that first series against Winnipeg. The beauty of it is it's a long series, and I'll be completely honest with you. Is Game 4 an important game? Sure. In terms of being able to get it back to 2-2, now you're going back to Dallas for a best 2 out of 3. That's primarily what you'd like to see. You don't want to see the Avalanche losing 3 in a row. But I will be honest with you, even if they were to lose Game 4, I don't think they do. But even if they were to lose Game 4, I don't think it's a death sentence. I don't think it's the death knell. I don't think it's playing taps for the Avs tomorrow morning. I still think even if the Avs were down 3-1, I would still give them a puncher's chance. Why? Because they'd be going on the road. And if the Avalanche were to lose Game 4 tonight, I think it's because it looked stylistically similar to Game 3, and you were playing the Stars brand of hockey. I think if that is the case and that's an issue for the Avs, okay, they're down 3-1. But then I think they'd be going back on the road for Game 5. I think they would actually, let their game breathe a little bit. They'd be able to play more of their style because why? Dallas would be back at home. Not as easy to play that tight checking, close to the vest, i.e. boring style of road hockey when you're at home. There tends to be more of a feel. You try to put on a little bit more of a show. You feel the energy of the crowd. You change up the way you play. It's much easier to get into that road mentality and block out all that noise when you're out on the road. Maybe not as easy when you're at home. So if the Avalanche were to lose, and again, I don't think they do, but if they were to lose Game 5, how did we end up losing this series? But let's cross that bridge when we get a little bit later on in the week if that becomes the case. But first of all, Game 4, see how the Avalanche respond. Jared Bednar kind of called him out a little bit by saying, going to have to get a little bit more traffic in front of Jake Ottinger. We're going to have to, win some more battles. Got to have to, increase the work ethic a little bit. That's a challenge thrown out to the players. Got to have to bring a little bit more. Put on your hard hats. Let's go to work. Let's see how the Avalanche respond. And, of course, we'll be back later in the week to talk about it as this series grinds along, ebbs and flows, ups and downs, highs and lows. It's part of the fun and yet frustration of being a hockey fan during a 7-game series. We'll talk to you again later on in the week.